Good morning. My name is Reverend Linda Susan Ulrich. I use they, them pronouns, and welcome this morning to the Unitarian Society of New Haven. We are so glad that you're joining us today. We start most Sunday mornings, with what's called Living Our Values Every Day, a brief presentation by someone from our social justice groups to let people know what's going on and how you can get involved. So this morning, I'm delighted to welcome Maggie Goodwin from the Lgbtq+ Task Force.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Maggie Goodwin, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'm the USNH chair of the LGBTQ+ Welcoming Social Justice Task Force. And I'm taking this opportunity with the Love Talk to ask you all to join us in our task force quest for USNH to become a radically welcoming congregation. What does it mean to be radically welcoming? One description suggests it means opening up the doors not only of our sanctuaries and meeting rooms, but also the doors of our leadership, faith, development, and cultural expectations. It means that we understand we don't all see the world the same way, that we try to use a universal design mentality, where we create programs and processes and policies that allow everyone access. It's kind of like curb cuts that were initially designed for people with mobility limitations on the streets and are now used and expected to be there by everyone. That's the mindset we want to use when we're striving to be radically welcoming here at USNH. When we say radical welcoming, it means all are welcome. And we do that without really restrictions, other than we ask you to endorse our now 8 principles and also to enter into covenant and keep covenant with all of us at USNH. So today I offer one of our first goals for becoming radically welcoming this year. You've seen, and I identified myself, as did Reverend Linda Susan, with our pronouns, she, her, her. And you may have seen them on some USNH name tags or on the Zoom calls when people identify themselves. Radical welcoming asks each of us, we think, to clarify and identify which pronouns we wish others to use when identifying us, even if we're not part of the LGBTQ+ community. Radical welcoming suggests using pronouns and signatures tells everyone something about yourself, but also that you are not going to assume the gender or sex of others. So I use the pronouns she, her, hers. I identify as a cisgender woman who is white, lesbian, gay, and those are the pronouns I use. It tells you something about, pronouns tell you something about me, but not all of that. Cisgender. Questions, what does that mean? Cisgender means I identify with the sex I was assigned at birth to me. What's the difference between sex and gender? Put simply, sex is your physical body or your biology. Gender identity is who you see yourself as a person, socially, emotionally, and psychologically. So, cisgender, what's the opposite? Or what are the other alternatives? That's transgender or non-binary. What do those mean? Transgender is a term used by people whose gender is not the same as, or who does not sit comfortably with the sex they were assigned at birth. Non-binary is a term used by people whose gender identity doesn't sit comfortably with man or woman either. Non-binary identities are varied and can include people who identify with some aspects of binary identities, while others reject them entirely. Some binary people use they, them to reflect where they are on the gender spectrum. So I'm cisgender. Pronouns are a way to tell others not your whole story of identity, but to tell them how you see your identity and not how others may see your identity. So the Radically Welcoming Task Force is asking you to join us going forward in this year to use of self-identified pronouns when possible. It's an important move toward real inclusivity in this place of worship, and I believe in the wider society. Our LBGT Welcoming Task Force suggests it will create healthier, safe space so everyone can bring their whole self to the, excuse me, to USNH and to be respected for it. 2, it will help avoid getting someone else's gender wrong. 3, it supports trans and non-binary people by reducing some of the burden on them to continuously explain their identity. And 4, pronouns can be a great way to begin discussion and conversation. So, welcome from the Social Justice LGBTQ Task Force. We hope you will join us in our continued work on becoming a radical, welcoming congregation. If you would like to join us individually, reach out. We'd love to talk to you. But we do have a gathering we're starting on every third Sunday of the month at 12 noon, right after the service. And the first one will be February 20th. And we also encourage people to join the Anti-Racism Task Force and the 8th Principle Working Group that are going to be meeting going forward together on the second Tuesday of the month at 7 o'clock to talk about many things, including radical welcoming. And just a little plug, if you do identify as part of the BIPOC community, Reverend Linda Susan is launching a monthly gathering on the second Sunday of the month, starting February 13th at noon. So thank you very much. May you all feel loved and welcomed here this morning.
Pick your foot or put it down real slow. Harmonize it live and see how it goes. Drink your morning coffee the same way. Let's see how it affects your day. Be right here, be right here, be right here. Move your hand and look up into the blue. Then go down and feel the earth turning to. Open to receiving and then you give. In the conversation of how you live. Be right here, be right here, be right here. Waking up a wounded heart is a subtle form of art as you coax it to be free. If you trust the here and now, then it seems to work somehow. Courage comes just when you need. The world is the most important that there is. So is mine, so is hers, so is his. Everybody's needed and has a place. Here within the universe's warm embrace. Be right here, be right here, be right here. Put it down real slow. Harmonize it live and see how it goes. Drink your morning coffee the same way. Then see how it affects your day. Be right here, be right here, be right
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Society of New Haven. My name is Jeanette Faber, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am a member of the worship committee. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are in your life's journey, you are welcome here. We are a diverse, multi-generational faith community that inspires lives of compassion and generosity, nurtures spiritual growth, cultivates transformative connections, and creates a more just world. This is a congregation that believes that Black lives matter, that every person has the right to affirm their own gender identity and expression, and that all people are inherently worthy. Let us acknowledge that we gather today on the ancestral lands of the Quinnipiac people. We commit ourselves to the action it takes to heal the wounds of the past and the present in the ongoing work of reconciliation, love, and justice. 2 announcements. There is a snow playdate today at USNH at 1 o'clock. Jessie will be serving hot cocoa and maybe even some treats. Again, that is 1 o'clock today outside at USNH. Also, if you are a newcomer and you'd like to join a Zoom service where you can meet members of the worship team and ask questions about Unitarian Universalism or this congregation, the link for that will be in the chat. Our call to worship today is from the Buddhist monk teacher Thich Nhat Hanh. It is entitled, Walking with Peace and Presence. The Buddha said that the past is already gone and the future is not yet here. There is only one moment for us to live in, and that is the present moment. We have an appointment with life, and that appointment takes place in the present moment. If we miss the present moment, we miss our appointment with life, which is serious. In our daily life, we have a tendency to think about the past, to get caught in the sorrow and regret concerning the past, and to get caught in the fear and uncertainty about the future. So our mind is not in the present moment. That is why it is so very important to learn how to go back to the present moment in order to become fully alive, fully present.
We light this chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, in gratitude for all of the great teachers, especially Thich Nhat Hanh, who died a week ago. May his teachings and the teaching of the wisest among us live on in us, so we may help to heal the world with love and compassion and light the way for those who follow. So now is the time of our new member ceremony. Do we have the new members, any of the new members in the Zoom room? We have one. Excellent. All right, so it's my great honor and privilege to welcome the newest members, or soon-to-be members. The storm has kind of made things a little odd for us. I'd also like to invite up our board president, Emily McCabe. So the 3 people who were intending to join us today are Ocean Phillips, Alessandra Bonapane, I hope I've said that correctly, apologies if I haven't, and Hajime Tokuno. So you've learned about Unitarian Universalism, you've pledged your gifts of time and money, and soon you will sign your name into the membership book. You are part of this congregation's history, its present, and its future.
Whether we were born into this faith or chose it for ourselves, Unitarian Universalism asks us to renew and recommit to that choice every time we gather. As UU writer Liz James notes, this religion is not a thing you join. It is a thing you are called to co-create. We're delighted that you've chosen us as your co-creators.
In this living tradition of ours, we're able to accomplish together what we could never do on our own. Our individual quests and our collective strength are intertwined, both nourishing and rooting each other. As our membership grows, so does our potential for healing the world. I invite those of you at home as the congregation, represented today by Board President Emily McCabe, members of the membership team, and Jeanette as worship associate. And so I'll invite you first to read what's in your order of service. Hopefully you have that in front of you, but we will be reading it here as well. And then I'll ask the new members to read their mutual affirmations. So let us say together, we, the members of the Unitarian Society of New Haven, welcome you into this community warmed by fellowship and freedom, respect and reverence, curiosity and consolation, learning and love since its founding in 1951. We are grateful for each of you as you join this congregation as equal members. We accept and affirm you as you are and invite you into a journey of spiritual exploration taken in community. In times of shared joy and in times of shared conflict, when our visions align and when we fall short, we will remember the promises we've made and return to each other in the spirit of love. May your presence here change us all for the better. Now I invite you, Ocean, to respond with the words for new members. You're muted. You're still muted. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Hello?
you're not muted, but we can't hear you.
Oh,
There we go.
okay. It's a big echo.
You can go
Well,
ahead and speak, Ocean.
Okay. As new members of the Unitarian Society of New Haven, we have crossed the threshold into a new relationship with this congregation, a deepened commitment, a broader openness, a brighter path of possibility. We pledge our gifts in support of the ministries of the congregation and ask for your support as we find our way in this faith. In times of shared joy and in times of shared conflict, when our visions align and when we fall short, we will remember the promises we've made and return to each other in the spirit of love.
Covenant. Let us say, we covenant together to create and nurture a culture of respect and kindness, and to engage in the spiritual and everyday practice of loving more generously. To this end, we will strive to be open, value differences, listen deeply, use kind language, speak our truths, work with conflict, seek humor and joy. Thank you and congratulations to our new members. Symbolically, there's your flower. Thanks, Jamie. Jesse.
Far beyond the grasp of hands, or light to meet the eye, past the reaches of the mind. There find the key to nature's harmony, in an architecture so entwined. birds whose patterns grace the sky and carry all who join in love expanding. The message of peace will rise in flight, taking the weight of the world upon its wings. In the oneness of everything. Peace is in the dance of trees who stir before the first breath of wind is yet perceived. Trust in the song becoming one with the dance, and all mysteries can be believed. Songs of lives long past that touch our own are written in the earth, ever giving, and now to maintain the harmony gives to us all lives worth living. For the oneness of everything. Still we seek to find a truth that we might understand and reduce to terms defined. Vast and immeasurable time and space, also overwhelmingly designed. Oh, passing years, just might I know the faith that winters in the heart to be reborn in spring, to hear and to feel the pulse of life enters my soul as the song to sing of the oneness of everything.
There once was a woman who loved to cook. I mean, not just loved, it was her everything. It was her passion. It was how she loved. It was in many ways a ministry for her. She would chop and saute and season and create the most incredible delicacies from dawn each morning until long after dark each night. The few moments when she wasn't cooking, she would use to scour cookbooks and YouTube videos, seeking new recipes. Whenever she found one that looked particularly yummy, she'd spend days gathering the necessary ingredients, and then another few days cooking it again and again, changing little things, like how much salt and basil to add, or the number of eggs needed. Until that dish was perfect. While she'd cook, she would hum her favorite song, "Don't stop thinking about tomorrow, don't stop, it'll soon be here, don't stop thinking about tomorrow, yesterday's gone, yesterday's gone." Well, that's what she would sing as she twirled around the kitchen, mixing sauces and adding spices. And then she would invite friends and family over to an outdoor bistro that she had set up next to the garden. And she would give them each a huge plate of food, which they would eagerly gobble down until their plate was clean. And then they would each get a container of that day's treat to take home with them. Any food that was left would be given to any hungry stranger who passed by. As the years went by, this woman became somewhat famous for her cooking, and more people lined up to visit her outdoor bistro and taste the savory and sweet delicacies that she would bring out of her ever busier kitchen. The tables got longer, and the take-home containers got fuller, and all seemed to be going quite well. But after a while, something strange began to happen. The woman was so popular and so sought after for her food, she herself started forgetting to eat. She no longer had time to sit down with the friends and family that came by. She'd only serve the meal and then immediately disappear inside to start thinking about the next day's menu. "Don't stop thinking about tomorrow," she'd sing, but she was just a little bit weaker, just a little bit less excited, and just a little bit more stressed out. Still, the plates and bowls stretched towards her window, and she did love cooking, so she carried on and just slid dessert into the oven. Some of her closest friends began to notice that the woman was looking a little bit more frail, and they could see how she never sat down, never ate any of the food that she was so busy cooking. A few of them stood by the door and tried to talk with her. "Please, take a moment to sit with us. This jambalaya is so amazing. Have you even tried it? Here, take a bite of mine." But the woman just breezed by them and began filling the plates of the gathered masses. She barely heard her family and friends over the chorus of voices that were now singing back to her. "Don't stop thinking about the next meal. Don't stop. How about souffle? I need to pick up some fresh cornmeal. You should make mole or some curry." As she entered the house with mole and curry possibilities bouncing around her imagination, she stumbled and nearly fell, but few people noticed as they shoved spoonfuls of jambalaya into their mouths. "Okay, it's time for an intervention," said one close friend to another. The few people who cared the most and could see how tomorrow was casting a shadow over today formed a line by the door to the house, and they began to pass on an idea. They whispered and sang and sent messages that passed like electric pulses up and down the lines of hungry followers. And the next time the door swung open and the now greatly weakened chef stumbled out, barely able to hold the trays of steaming food upright, she stopped in her tracks, because no plates or bowls were extended towards her, no arms outstretched. Instead, hundreds of people who had realized they cared about her and not just about the food that she made, sat at the long banquet tables, motioning her to sit down and join them. They gently sang to her, "Don't, please stop. Think about this moment. Don't, please stop. Be here right now." The startled woman tried to serve, but they shook their heads and took the trays from her shaking hands and sat her down. Someone filled her bowl with steaming deliciousness, and another admirer lifted a fork to her mouth, and all waited as she reluctantly accepted the mouthful and chewed and swallowed, and then a smile slowly spread across her face. "Okay, this is delicious," she loudly proclaimed. The crowd cheered and began to eat with her, taking the time to savor each bite and listen to the stories she had to tell and the songs she had to sing. And when the meal was over, for the first time in as long as she could remember, she not only felt satisfied, but she actually felt full. She rose to collect the dishes and started on what came next, but hands on her shoulder coaxed her back into her chair. "It's okay to just be here now, with us in this moment," said one of her family members, making the kind of eye contact that snapped something back into place for her. And at that moment, tomorrow's menu, poof, disappeared into later, where it should be. It would have its moment in the spotlight, but not yet. Not quite yet.
Our congregation's joys and sorrows. Pat Trotta is recovering from hip surgery. She is pleased with her healing process, but she would appreciate phone calls. Her phone number is 203-510-3541. Perhaps someone can put that in the chat. I'll say it again. 203-510-3541. If you prefer, her email is pltrotta, Trotta, @gmail.com. pltrotta, @gmail.com. Cindy Chilkin shares her relief and gratitude following a second opinion at Yale that major surgery to improve her hearing is not yet necessary. The latest technology and newer hearing aids will be much easier step at this time. A joy I would like to share of my own. Today is the birthday of my cousin, Matthew. He was born 3 months after I was born, and he was adopted into our family when I was 6 months old. He is really like a brother, even a soulmate, and I am so happy that this universe threw us together so that we could walk through this life together.
I invite you into a spirit of meditation, prayer, or contemplation of ultimate things. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "Even a daily habit like eating breakfast, when done as a practice, can be powerful. It generates the energy of mindfulness and concentration that makes life authentic. When we prepare breakfast, it can also be a practice. We can be really alive, fully present, and very happy during breakfast making. We can see making breakfast as mundane work or as a privilege. Just depends on our way of looking. The cold water is available, the hot water is available, the soap is available, the kettle is available, the fire is available, the food is available. Everything is there to make our happiness a possibility. If we are caught in our worries and anger, or in the past or the future, then although we're making breakfast, we're not there. We're not alive. What are the resources available to you in this very moment that make your happiness a possibility? I invite you to spend these next few minutes in silence and notice the ways in which those resources help you come alive. Amen.
Our offering. This beloved community is sustained by your generosity. If you are able to contribute, please go to our website, usnh.org, and click the link in the upper right-hand corner that says Donations, or you may mail a check to 700 Hartford Turnpike, Hamden, Connecticut, 06517. Your generosity is appreciated. Thank you. Our reading today is a Dharma talk by Thich Nhat Hanh, and it is entitled True Presence. The greatest gift we can make to others is our true presence. I am here for you is a mantra to be uttered in perfect concentration. When you are concentrated, mind and body together, you produce your true presence, and anything you say is a mantra. It does not have to be in Sanskrit or Tibetan. A mantra can be spoken in your own language. Darling, I am here for you. And if you are truly present, this mantra will produce a miracle. You become real, the other person becomes real, and life is real in that moment. You bring happiness to yourself and to the other person. I know you are there, and I am very happy, is the second mantra. When I look at the moon, I breathe in and out deeply and say, full moon, I know you are there, and I am very happy. I do the same with the morning star. To be really present and know that the other is also there is a miracle. When you contemplate a beautiful sunset, if you are really there, you will recognize and appreciate it deeply. The third mantra is, darling, I know you suffer. That is why I'm here for you. When you are mindful, you notice when the other person you love suffers. If we suffer, and if the person we love is not aware of our suffering, we will suffer even more. Just practice deep breathing, then sit close to the one you love and say, darling, I know you suffer. That is why I am here for you. Your presence alone will relieve a lot of their suffering. No matter how old or young you are, you can do it. The fourth mantra is the most difficult. It is practiced when you yourself suffer and you believe that the person you love is the one who has caused you to suffer. The mantra is, darling, I suffer. Please help. Only 5 words, but many people cannot say it because of the pride in their heart. If anyone else had said or done that to you, you would not suffer so much. But because it was the person you love, you feel deeply hurt. You want to go to your room and weep. But if you really love them, when you suffer like that, you have to ask for help. You must overcome your pride.
Remember now, be here now, as it's not like it was before. The past was, be here now, as it's not like it was before. It was. Why try to live a life that isn't real? No how. A mind that wants to corner is an unwise mind. Now is here now, and it's not what it was before. Remember now, be here now, as it's not like it was before. It was.
I'm into that. So this month we've been talking about living with intention. We've set intentions for the year that can guide us even when things become rocky. We've looked at how self-compassion prepares us to act for justice, and how the life of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. cultivated action in generations of people. All of them share a key ingredient: paying attention. In today's reading, Thich Nhat Hanh noted that when mind and body are concentrated, you produce your true presence, which he considered the greatest gift we can give each other. Some people practice this skill through sitting meditation, bringing their attention to their breath, perhaps silently repeating a phrase like the 4 mantras mentioned in the reading. Others might use guided meditations or traditional prayers. For my own part, I need at least a bit of movement in my meditations. My song earlier talked about walking meditation. Pick your foot up, put it down real slow. It's also why I get a lot out of coloring meditation and knitting meditation. My hands make use of otherwise swirly energy, leaving my mind free to notice whatever insights might emerge. With coloring meditation, for example, I'm particularly drawn towards mandalas and Arabic designs. As I work with the repeating patterns, I notice my own mental and emotional patterns. What do I mean by choosing the right color? What does it tell me that I'm filling in shapes without much pause? Is there a reason why such a low-stakes endeavor feels especially important on one particular day? Whether you choose to focus on your inhale, exhale, or a nice even knit 1, purl 2, your body can be a source of enormous wisdom. There's so much information available to us when we pay attention. Where in my body do I hold pain or tension? What is that place trying to communicate to me? What do I notice? Does my breathing speed up or slow down? What's underneath these different signals? I learned a powerful exercise that uses my own body's resources to re-regulate when I'm feeling anxious or ungrounded or otherwise out of sorts. And I come back to it time and time again. So I invite you to try it with me. Find a place on your body that feels at peace, or at least more at peace than everything else. It could be anywhere. One of your knees, your heart, the tip of your nose. As best you can, place your hands there. Next, notice a spot on your body that needs attention. Again, it might be anywhere. Where's a place that could use some love? Imagine now that you're filling up your hands with a sense of peace from that first spot. And once you've done that, move your hands to the second spot and let the peace flow into it. Once you've done that, return your hands to the first spot and repeat the process. You can do this as many times as you need. How was that experience for you? I always find that I feel much more grounded and peaceful than when I started. One of the things I love about this practice is that it's available to you almost any time and any place you go. You don't have to wait for some imagined perfect setting. And if you can't do the hand gestures, you can create the exchange simply with your attention and imagination. Again, paying attention is the key ingredient. Everything we do in our lives is mediated by the body. It isn't something separate from our mind, emotions, or spirit, though that model is often a convenient way to speak of different aspects of our being. The problem comes when we take the model for the thing itself, when we believe in the separation rather than the wholeness. Ultimately, though, the deepest thoughts are transmitted by electrical pulses along neurons. A parent's profound love for a child involves a massive dump of hormones into the endocrine system. Peak spiritual experiences may expand the chest or cause tears to flow down cheeks. For years, due to my own trauma history, I spent most of my time away from my body. I'd realized at some point that I'd exited out my back and was hanging out somewhere around the ceiling. And with time and practice and the help of a somatic therapist, I started recognizing the signs that I was dissociating. The edges of my vision would grow a little hazy. I'd lose track of what I was saying. My sense of presence turned into a notable absence. And I also learned techniques to come back to myself. I'd wiggle my toes within my shoes, or I'd go around the room noticing objects and their colors. Brown table, blue shirt, yellow book. By grounding myself in the here and now, my body became an anchor in my current reality rather than my traumatic past. I came alive rather than merely existing. And as the raffle phrase goes, you must be present to win. Buddhism teaches that it's only possible to be alive in the present. The past is gone and the future is unwritten. Or as we heard in the call to worship, we have an appointment with life, and that appointment takes place in the present moment. If we miss the present moment, we miss our appointment with life, which is serious. I know that keeping that appointment can get tricky when the trauma is still ongoing, but I also know, after decades of hating my body and believing that it betrayed me, that our bodies are always, always on our side. They alone remain with us from birth until death. They consistently lean towards healing as best they can, even if they can't make it to wellness. They're adapting moment to moment, inhaling and exhaling, blood pulsing, systems working to maintain equilibrium. And those concepts rhyme with process theology, which posits that everything in the universe is deeply relational. In process theology, God, source, ultimate reality, whatever language you use for what the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker has termed the holy fire at the heart of life. It's not some omnipotent force that determines everything that happens in the universe. Rather, it's a co-creative aspect of existence that affects us and is in turn affected by us. Its influence is felt as a lure towards goodness, wholeness, and healing, just as our bodies lean in those same directions. The choices we make in each moment, whether accepting or rejecting the lure, whether keeping our appointment with life or not, are part of the ongoing dynamic reshaping not only of existence, but of the divine itself. So why is it so difficult for so many of us to be here now, as George Harrison put it? Certainly trauma can play a role, but so can worry and guilt and grief and even hope. Bet you didn't see that one coming. Yes, some forms of hope come unmoored from the present. And like Jesse's story about the woman who loved to cook, we never stop thinking about tomorrow, even when we're starving right now. In contrast, hope that's grounded in the present keeps us connected to our power to make change, including change guided by intention. Reverend Dr. Monica Coleman, womanist process theologian and author, asks, is it possible your faith might find you where you already are? If that's the case, we'd better show up to meet it. Over the next several days, see what happens when you bring your full attention to making breakfast, or drinking your coffee, or picking up your foot and putting it down mindfully, step by step, or listening with a loving mind, or just breathing. Whatever it is that helps you become real and alive. Amen, and blessed be.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then when our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place. We are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place.
Please join us in the words we use to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Friends, it is a simple thing that is also difficult, to be fully present to all that is, fully present to the joy, fully present to the pain, but is the only place where we are alive, is right now, right here, with each other, with ourselves. So let us act from that holy place where we have access to all that is. Let us go forth with courage and with kindness and be a blessing to this beautiful and broken world. Amen, and blessed be.